Now, this is a little review of my training week last week. I've just transitioned from a rep phase into an intensity phase. So this was the kind of go-between program before I start this one this week. Now, the bench press was at 75%, 112.5 kilos, so nothing that's overly heavy for me. It felt quite easy, but I like these days to be used to really focus on form, and one of the things I'm trying to do here is really drive from my hips and certainly from the floor. Now, I've got a couple of angles on the back squat, which was done on the same day. This again was at 75% of my 1 rep max, so the squat was at 150 kilos, so still reasonably challenging, but quite easy at the same time, so that I could focus a lot on my setup and my form. Now, as you can see, I make sure that I'm really quite tight in my upper back before taking the barbell off the rack. I take 3 purposeful steps, I take a deep breath, and I squeeze my glutes at the top. Now, my depth, I need to make sure my hip is at least below the top of my knee, and this would be a legal depth for the federation that I compete in, as well as I'm sure every other powerlifting federation out there. Now, as you can see from another angle that's about to come up, I'll discuss my setup. Now, as I approach the bar, what I'm looking to do is really try and squeeze my shoulder blades together, creating a nice tight and tense position in my upper lats, so that the bar is pulled down into my back. From there, I'll take 3 nice small steps. These will set my position. From there, I take a deep breath, I squeeze the bar with my hands, I squeeze my glutes, and then I drive my knees out all the way to depth and drive up through my bum. Again, keeping tension all the way through the upper back, making sure I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together as hard as possible. From there, I moved into 6 singles at 172.5 on deadlifts. Again, I'm making sure I'm quite purposeful with my setup. I'm making sure I plant my feet in the position that I want them in. The grip is on. I actually ring the bars if I'm ringing a towel, and I drive my feet to the floor and my hips through the bar. And those were just relatively easy. Then from there, we moved on to pull-ups. Now, what I'm trying to do is 20 reps total, and I think I managed this in 3 sets roughly, and I think this was about the second set. Now, what I like to make sure is that the chin fully clears the bar and that my elbows go in line with my ears at the bottom of the movement. So I'm not trying to lift my knees, I'm not kipping, just trying to keep as strict as I can with these chin-ups. Now, for later on in the week, the intensity increased slightly, but sets and reps dropped. This was in my new Gymshark bottoms. As you can see, it really does show off my arse a little bit, which is quite good. So this is 170 kilos for 3 sets of 2 reps. This was relatively challenging, this was quite tough. Again, very purposeful my setup, making sure my feet are planted, squeezing my shoulder blades together, gripping the bar, squeezing my glutes, and driving my knees out. But again, this was relatively easy. And then the next set, we will see my plus set PB of 175 kilos for 6 reps. Now, from there, I moved on to a 195 for 5 singles on deadlifts. This was reasonably challenging, but again, nothing that I couldn't handle as such. Making sure I'm driving my feet to the floor, upper back's nice and tight, and I'm driving my hips through the bar as best. Now, this was moving on to the last training session of the week. This was 127.5 kilos. This was 3 sets of 2. Not too challenging. It was a little bit difficult because I didn't have a spotter, but apart from that, it was straight up and down for the 2. From there, I moved on to a rep PB of 132.5 kilos for 5 reps, which I was really delighted with. Everything Felt good, even though I didn't have a spotter. Maybe I could have got a 6th rep, but I think I'm pretty chuffed with the 5. I think this leads me on nicely into the intensity phase, where we should see hopefully some big numbers go up. Like always, if you enjoy this, please like, share, comment, join me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, and we'll check you out next time.